During my senior year of high school, the school beauty song Shu Yao once asked me to lend her some money for medical treatment and told me not to tell anyone. As it turned out, she went there to have an abortion and died from massive bleeding on the operating table at the small clinic. Years later, Lu Jing and the aloof studious type pursued me relentlessly and proposed to me. He kept me locked up in a basement in the suburbs until I was 8 months pregnant. He slashed my stomach and said, "You owe this to Yao Yao and our child." It turns out that before she died, the school beauty had held his hand and told him not to blame me. He was convinced that I had deliberately tried to kill his beloved wife and child. That day, I died with my eyes wide open at the hands of Lu Jingyin. Then, filled with overwhelming hatred, I returned to the day Xiao came to ask me for a loan. By the 10th day of being locked in the basement, I had started to smell bad. During that time, I tried countless ways to escape, but none of them worked. This basement was built 3 years ago specifically for me, and it has only one exit. Just as I was about to give up all hope, a faint glimmer of light suddenly shone through the crack in the door. Hunger had left me so dizzy, I could barely stand, so I carefully supported my stomach as I crawled toward the stairs. A pair of exquisite black handmade leather shoes appeared before my eyes, and their owner placed her foot on my palm. I looked up at him, my other hand clutching the hem of his pants, and finally pleaded. "Lu Jingyan, I really didn't know about Xiao's pregnancy. At the time, she just said she needed to borrow money from me for medical treatment." Lu Jingyan grabbed a handful of my hair and said with a frown, full of disgust, "Do you really think I believe that? Who are you to even mention Yaoya's name? Do you have any idea how wonderful she was? Even on her deathbed, she told me about your secret crush on me and asked me to forget her and take good care of you." He spoke with a frenzied look on his face. Me have a crush on Lu Jingyan. It was a long time ago. Back when So Yao wasn't even dating him yet. I didn't even realize that they had ended up together, and that the child Su Yao was carrying was actually his until after Lu Jingyi had me locked up. But now, no matter how I tried to explain it, it's no use. X Yao is already dead. The baby was kicking restlessly in my belly. In the end, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It was already alive. I fought back my tears as I looked at Lu Jingyan and continued, "You can kill me to avenge Su Yao, but this child isn't just mine, it's yours too. Please spare its life, will you? A child. You're so ridiculously stupid. There's no way I'd let a like you get pregnant with my child. You're actually getting off easy with that scumbag I set you up with." I felt as if I'd been struck by lightning. No wonder, since we got married. The number of times he's touched me can be counted on one hand. I wasn't even aware of most of it. He just said I was too tired. Looking back now, I suspect he must have drugged her and planned it all from the start. As I thought, this hatred instantly engulfed me, taking advantage of Lu Jingyi's momentary distraction. I bit down on the web of his hand with almost all my strength. The taste of blood filled my mouth, and I wanted nothing more than to take the person in front of me down with me. The blade pierced my abdomen, and excruciating pain surged through my nerves. My hands and feet were tied, so I couldn't even ask for a quick end to it. Lu Jingyan held the blood-soaked infant up in front of me and said, "Qingyuan, you killed my child and Yao Yao. Now it's finally your turn." I kept my eyes wide open and stared intently at him. How I hate it. I just lent him some money. I just had a fleeting crush on him back when I was young and naive. Why has it come to this? I won't accept this. Why must I suffer such a brutal and agonizing death? Why can those who harmed me still have the audacity to shift all the blame onto me? I would rather become a demon than fail to rip out his heart and cut out his tongue, biting off every inch of his flesh to avenge my blood. Perhaps because I was so consumed by my obsession. A hazy white mist suddenly rose before my eyes. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day Su Yao asked me for a loan. I was still in class when Su Yao sent me a message. Our high school is a century-old institution and a first-class model high school. So the teachers keep a tight rein on us, and we rarely get a chance to use our phones. Only a few students sneak them into their dorms so they can play for a bit after evening study hall. She's been reaching out to me a lot lately. She told me she hasn't been feeling well. So I've been urging her to see a doctor, afraid I'd miss a message from her. I just grabbed a roll for lunch today and rushed back to the dorm. I must have had low blood sugar. I felt dizzy for quite a while before I finally recovered. When I opened my eyes, I remembered everything about my past life. A surge of hatred engulfed me in an instant. My hand was shaking as I held the phone. The exact same message from my previous life popped up in the chat window. Yuan, I'm sorry, but I really have no other choice. I've fallen ill and need at least 5,000 yuan. but I only have a little over 2,000 on me. Could you lend it to me? I promise I'll pay you back. In my previous life, I pressed her to tell me what her illness was, she retorted, her embarrassment turning to anger. Aren't you afraid I won't? I've known Sun Shu Yao since we were kids, and she's always been a master at manipulating me. That single sentence led me to fall into the trap of self-justification. At the time, I considered her my best friend. How could I have let her think that? Maybe she just didn't want anyone to know her private affairs. Since I was a student at the time, I had saved up about 2,000 yuan over 2 years, but I was still 1,000 yuan short. My monthly living expenses were 800 yuan. I lent her 2,500, but she said it wasn't enough and asked me to see if I could come up with more. So, I had no choice but to ask my roommates to chip in, and that's how I managed to come up with another 500 for her. In fact, for the next 2 months, I survived on a 15 yuan pack of old Beijing instant noodles just to pay off my debts. I never heard back from Sun Shu Yao about her recovery. In fact, after I lent her the money, I never managed to get in touch with her again. It wasn't until after the college entrance exams that I happened to overhear my mom mention that Sun Shu Yao had died from massive bleeding after having an abortion at a small clinic. It came as a complete shock to me. My mom and I had our big-ass fight, and I asked her why she didn't tell me. She calmly took my outburst in stride and said, "What's the point of telling you? Don't you need to take the college entrance exam? I've told you before that we're not meant to be friends. And as for Qing Yuan, I hope you understand that you can't interfere with anyone's destiny." In the days that followed, I was consumed by endless self-reproach. I couldn't help but wonder if I had been a little more careful. If I had asked a few more questions, would So Yao still be alive? Before marrying Lu Jingyan, I took a hard look at myself and brought up this past incident with him. At that moment, he held me tightly against his chest, and I couldn't make out the expression on his face. But when his tears fell on my neck, I was completely overwhelmed with emotion and thought I'd found my soulmate. He understands everything about Meihei, even feels my pain as his own. When he shed tears, was he wondering whether what I said was true or not? Or was he crying tears of excitement because his revenge was one step closer? Now that I've been given a second chance at life, I'm no longer that pitifully naive high school student I used to be. I scrolled through our chat history. His expression grew increasingly cold ever since she dropped out of high school in her sophomore year. She's been constantly sending me photos of her glamorous nightlife. Then she said in a deliberately coy tone, "Yu Yan, I really don't get what's so great about studying. Don't you find it boring? Why don't you sneak out tonight and we'll go to a bar? I'll show you a thing or two." My reply was, "Yao Yao. It's not safe for a girl like you out there while your student status is still active. You should come back and repeat the year. Otherwise, what are we going to do once we're adults, Qing Yuan? I'm just not good at studying. Do you really have to show off in front of me?" What she said was a bit over the top, so I didn't want to respond to her after that. I was really angry at the time. Before long, she came looking for me again, sneaking into school to bring me flowers. "Come on, Yen Yen. Don't be mad. Okay, I'm just this kind of person I am, not one for beating around the bush. I just want you to be as happy as I am, and I feel bad that you're so exhausted every day. Shu Yao, everything takes its toll. I just want things to be less exhausting in the future. Forget it. I'm not talking to you anymore." Bookworm. Does Song Shu Yao really care about me? Does she feel bad for me? She'll give me a hard time during the diagnostic exams, making me sneak out of school to celebrate her birthday. Would I really go so far as to tell Lu Jingyi not to blame me? And then embellish the story by telling him about that tiny spark of feelings I had back in my freshman year of high school. With that thought in mind, I looked at the anxious messages she'd sent in the chat window and typed a cold reply. "Yao Yao. Why did you borrow so much money? What kind of illness is it?" Just like in her previous life, she flew into a rage, and message after message started popping up frantically. "What do you mean, Qingyuan? If you don't want to lend it to me, just say so. Okay, you look down on me, don't you? You're worried I won't be able to pay it back, aren't you?" When I saw these messages, I found them nothing but ironic and ridiculous. I was about to type out a rejection between my fingers, but then I instinctively thought of a better way. "My dear friend, isn't dying such a simple thing? Life is more fun when you're alive. Yao Yao, I don't have that much money, but I can chip in with my roommate. Why don't you come find me in class this afternoon and I'll give it to you, Yuan. Yuan, I knew you were the best. See you this afternoon." During the afternoon break, Su Yao came to find me outside the classroom right on time. The next class is taught by Chinese teacher Qin Yu. Her grandfather was a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, so this teacher knows the basics of taking pulses and diagnosing illnesses. Whenever a student feels unwell, she's the one who notices it right away and takes them to the doctor. I deliberately borrowed money from my classmates and made a big fuss about Su Yao being sick. In her previous life, she repeatedly urged me not to tell anyone. She said she didn't want people talking about her. It's been hard to borrow money these days. She even forgot to mention it to me. But even if she told me to, I wouldn't listen. Yuan, have you saved up enough money yet? She asked anxiously. Grabbing my hand, I was just about to speak. Teacher Qin Yu suddenly appeared, grabbed So Yao's arm, and said, Sun Shu Yao, why are you borrowing money? Are you still? Before she could finish speaking, her expression suddenly turned extremely grim. So Yao, come to my office for a moment. At those words, Su's expression changed drastically. She shook off Qin Yu's hand and said, I'm no longer a student here. What right do you have to tell me what to do? If you're not a student here, then why are you here? Call your parents. I need to discuss your enrollment status with them. You old hag, are you trying to annoy me? You think you can just call whoever you want, don't you? Just because you're a big shot. Is that it? Su Yao didn't even take the money. She pushed teacher Chinu aside and ran off. When I got back to the dorm that night, I logged onto Q and anxiously asked, Yao, why did you get so angry with the teacher? What about your illness? You haven't even received your money yet. I don't need your fake kindness. You did this on purpose so everyone would know I asked you for a loan, didn't you? Yao, is that how you feel about me? I don't have enough money, so of course I have to borrow from someone else. Is being sick something you can't talk about? After I sent it, I turned off my phone and went to bed. In my dream, Lu Jingyi's face grew clearer and clearer. It was covered in my blood, and he just stared at me like a malevolent ghost come to claim my soul. But strangely enough, I wasn't afraid at all. Instead, I kept my eyes wide open, trying to memorize his face. And even in my dream, I frantically grabbed at things, desperate to take him down with me. When I woke up, my fists were clenched tight, and I was soaked in sweat. Lu Jingyan, in this life I will repay you 1,000-fold. 10,000-fold for all the suffering you have inflicted upon me. Qin Yu, the Chinese teacher, is a very responsible person. After discovering that Song Shu Yao was pregnant, she didn't make a fuss, but immediately sought out the homeroom teacher to contact So Shu Yao's parents together. They were worried that something might happen to Sun Shu Yao. Even though she had dropped out of school because she was still a minor, Sun Xiao's father is a man who cares deeply about his reputation and can't keep a secret. He immediately grabbed So Yao and started yelling at her. Before long, the neighbors all found out, including a classmate who lived very close to Sun Xiao's family. Lu Jingyan was, of course, well aware of this. He took 3 consecutive days off. When we got back to school, Lu Jingyan strode toward me, looking furious. I was sitting at my desk doing homework when he grabbed a stack of books nearby and hurled them at me, saying, Qingyuan, I never would have thought you were this kind of person. I easily dodged the blow, then stood up and slapped him across the face, saying, Are you out of your mind? What kind of person do you think I am? He was so stunned by my slap that he froze in his tracks. By the time he realized what was happening, his face had turned bright red with anger. He was about to rush over and punch me, but was pulled back by a male classmate standing next to her. Standing there, I asked him with a puzzled look. Lu Jingyan, explain exactly what I did to you, Qingyuan. You know exactly what you've done. I'm warning you, whatever underhanded tricks you're up to, I won't let you get away with it. Oh, you were the one who asked me to tell you, but you didn't say anything. You can't even explain what I did. So, what on earth are you going on about now? Lu Jingyan wanted to say something, but hesitated and didn't speak up. He didn't seem to want anyone to know that he and Shou Yao had crossed the line, and that she had become pregnant as a result. He simply brushed aside the classmate who was holding him back, smoothed out his rumpled jacket, and said, It's nothing. I just don't like you personally, and I'm dissatisfied with you. I'll never like someone like you in my entire life. Are you satisfied now? Haha. Do you even realize what you're saying? Why should I care whether you like me or not? Who are you anyway? Who do you think you are, Qingyuan? You know what I'm talking about. Seeing how confident he looked, I just found it ridiculous. It seems Su Yao told him about our past conversations quite a while ago. They were both very confident, and Su Yao thought she was really impressive for having won over the person I liked. Lu Jingyan had no doubt whatsoever about the truth of what So Yao had said. He was confident that I must like him. What do I know? You never make yourself clear. And listen, if you really have a problem with me, I suggest you calm down first. Think about what you want to say to me. Then find a piece of paper that's big enough and write down everything you're upset about. Even if you change, I won't change my opinion of you. No, you're reading too much into it. What I mean is you can keep it under your tongue when you die, and maybe you'll speak properly in your next life. Qingyuan, don't keep calling my name when you say it. It makes me feel like my own name is kind of disgusting. After I had a fight with Lu Jingyan, to my surprise, Song Shuyao reached out to me again. As soon as evening study hall ended, I received a message from her on Qyuan. What's going on with you? Don't you really like Lu Jingyan? How could you have gotten into such a huge argument with him? Did Lu Jingyan tell you that? There was a brief pause on the other end of the line, and then a text message came through. What are you talking about? There's no way Lu Jingyan would tell me that. We're not even close. I heard it from other classmates. What's going on? Don't you like him? I met Lu Jingyan before So Yao did. Back then we were on the same competition team. He's good-looking and polite. But most importantly, one time when I was coming home from school late and ran into some troublemakers, Lu Jingyan showed up just in time and chased them away. And he even drove me all the way home. Later, Song Shuyao went on a few dates, and she asked me if I wanted to give it a try. She said that a life without a high school romance is incomplete. That's when you're at your most youthful and naive. Only the people you fall for at that time are the ones you truly love. From now on, every person I meet will be a mix of weighing pros and cons and the scheming typical of adults. At the time, I thought that sounded a bit odd, but for the moment, he couldn't think of a suitable response to counter her. She remained silent, but the image of Lu Jingyi flashed through her mind. Xiu Yao and I have known each other since we were kids. And she immediately pressed me to tell her if I had a crush on anyone. I said, I don't know if I like him, but he helped me out and he's a really nice guy. She said, that's what love is, and told me I absolutely had to seize the opportunity. Otherwise, if you miss this chance, it'll be for the rest of your life. Su Yao dropped out in the first semester of her sophomore year of high school. She had no idea just how busy and exhausting our high school lives would become later on. That little spark of affection has long since been forgotten in some forgotten corner. Even after she died, Lu Jingyan appeared before me once again. It was only then that I suddenly remembered. As if in a dream, that encounter I had once thought was rather lovely. As it turned out, that vague sense of affection ended up being my undoing. Thinking of all this, I looked at the conversation on Khan. Instead of answering the question, deliberately changed the subject. Yao Yao, how's your health? Let's put that aside for now. What about you and Lu Jingyan? There's nothing going on between him and me. We're just classmates and on the same competition team. He just got physical with me that day, and I was pretty upset about it. So, do you still like him? I deliberately didn't reply to that message. I just turned off my phone and went to sleep. The National High School Physics competition is coming up soon. In his previous life, Lu Jingyan did not take the college entrance exam. Instead, he was admitted to Tsinghua University directly through this competition. What should I do? How can I let things go so smoothly for him this time around? If I can't ruin his life step by step, what's the point of me living? Su Yao kept messaging me on Q. Never tiring of it, I resumed my usual earnest tone and urged her, Yao Yao, what on earth are you thinking about all day? None of this matters. School romances are like grains of sand you can't hold on to. They scatter at the slightest breeze. The most important things for us are definitely our education and our future. Romance is just a little spice in life. She didn't have an abortion. Lu Jingyan hid her away. My mom and Lu Jingyan's mom are co-workers. And I often hear his mom complain that Lu Jingyi's spending has been getting higher and higher lately. Probably because he's feeling the pressure as the competition approaches. Yuan, you're way too focused on success. There are things in this world more important than academic achievement and fame. But unfortunately, you'll never understand that all I'm doing is studying and taking exams like a normal person. And people say I'm just out for personal gain. People sure do love to label others. What could that be? What else could be more important than our studies right now? This is the most important thing for both Lu Jingyan and me right now. Nothing else matters. All right then, nerd. You'll understand someday. So Yao tried very hard to make me understand. As a result, Lu Jing began to skip class more and more frequently in the years that followed. He even dared to skip 2 special tutoring sessions taught by renowned teachers the school had specifically invited. So Yao and I are working hard to make sure Lu Jingyi loses this opportunity for early ADM. Ishin, now that I've been given a second chance at life, I've also got a side quest to make a fortune. At first, I tried to convince my mom to buy stocks. But she just thought I'd gone crazy from studying so much every day. There's no time to waste. My parents divorced when I was young, so my mom basically raised me on her own. I had some education savings in a separate account. I took a risk and withdrew the money while she was asleep and deleted the text message beforehand. Fortunately, having lived through it all before, my mom told me the PIN for this card right after I took the college entrance exam. After that, I went to an internet cafe and opened a stock trading account. Before the physics competition, I had already multiplied that sum several times over. I transferred the principal back to that card and then used the money to support a girl at my school named Li Yen, who was on the verge of giving up on the college entrance exam. Her grades are just as good as Lu Jingyan's. It was only because her father fell seriously ill and she had younger siblings to care for that she had no choice but to give up on taking the college entrance exam and take on the responsibility of supporting her family. When I offered to sponsor her, she looked completely surprised. I made up some excuse saying that a colleague from my mom's workplace wanted to help her. She was so moved that she shed tears. Lu Jingyan has either been skipping class lately or falling asleep as soon as he shows up. After all, it's pretty tough to take care of an emotionally unstable pregnant woman. On the day of the final match, he was almost late. I was standing on the third-floor balcony, looking down when I saw Su Yao running toward him, her hands clutching her stomach. Thinking she had spotted me, she quickly hid behind a nearby tree. I pretended not to notice and kept chatting with Lean as we cheerfully walked into the exam room. A few days later, the exam results were released. I didn't place, which is to be expected. In my previous academic career, I earned both a master's and a PhD in medicine and biology. I'm just here to gain some experience and also to make sure Li Yan and the other guy get to the exam site safely. In my previous life, Xia Chen, a student from the school next door, was in a car accident on the day of the exam. In this life, I met him early on in the competitive class and steered him down a different path. I took great delight in pitting more and more opponents against Lu Jingyan. Just as I expected, Li Yan came in first, and second place went to a boy who was also on the list in her previous life. As for third place, it went to Xia Chen. Lu Jingyan had completely lost this opportunity. On the day the results came out, the teacher comforted him, saying, "Jingyan, it's okay. There's still the college entrance exam. I believe you're capable of passing it. You just need to get yourself back on track. Have you been sick lately?" Lu Jingyan lowered his head and fell silent for a moment, then gathered his courage and said, "It's okay, teacher. It's the same for me taking the college entrance exam." I sat there reading, doing my best to resist the urge to look over at him, afraid that the hatred in my eyes would be impossible to hide. "Lu Jingyan, you dreaming. If I let you take the college entrance exam without a hitch, why would I have come back to this life? How could I possibly go on living if you weren't at rock bottom? If you didn't go to hell, this is just the beginning. I won't give you another chance to turn things around." In our final semester of senior year, we've been getting busier and busier. I've been busy encouraging Song Shu Yao every day and painting a picture of how wonderful college life is. I searched online for bloggers and WeChat public accounts that share stories about college couples and sent the links to her. "Shu Yao, why don't you come back and go to college? Life will always have regrets if you don't go to college. I think dating is much more meaningful when you're in college. We've all made it through high school, and college is a time of youth with shared interests and hobbies. How wonderful is that? Do you have to have things in common to be in a relationship? When two people are together, they definitely need to share similar values and get along well. Just look at my parents. They were too different, so they got divorced. Never mind that. Yin Yan, have you and Lu Jingyan made up?" Sigh. I don't want to think about that. I'll worry about the future when the time comes. I didn't give her a straight answer. I always gave her vague responses. It wasn't until the college entrance exams were approaching that I took the initiative to talk to her. "Yao Yao. To be honest, I don't understand why Lu Jingyan didn't place in his last competition. He didn't seem to be in great shape. Even though we had such a big fight, I still hope he gets into college. I heard him say in class today that he's allergic to peanuts. Do you think I should buy him some allergy medicine?" I didn't want Sun Shuyao to miss this, so I made a point of telling her about it. Lu Jingyan took this college entrance exam very seriously. His mother even brought him his meals herself. But in the end, he still missed the college entrance exam. On the day of the college entrance exam, he was rushed to the hospital due to an allergic reaction. But because he was taken there too late, the prolonged lack of oxygen seemed to have caused some damage to his brain. The reason he had an allergic reaction was that he kissed Su Yao, who had eaten peanuts beforehand. So Yao was afraid he would recover too quickly, and it wasn't until much later that she noticed his face had turned a purplish shred. On the second day of Lu Jingyi's hospitalization, I was still taking the college entrance exam. As soon as I stepped out of the exam room, I planned to grab some lunch and get some rest so I'd be well rested for the next exam. Su Yao came to see me holding a bouquet of baby's breath, her eyes red from crying. She said, "Yu Yuan, I'm sorry. I never dared to tell you about what happened between me and Lu Jingyan. What's up?" She looked down at her stomach with a guilty expression and said, "Yu Yuan, the reason I came to ask you for money last time was actually because I'm pregnant." Huh? I went along with her surprise. "Don't you want to know who my child's father is?" "Who is it?" "It's Jingyan." Yuan, you don't blame me, do you?" I looked at her sarcastically and said nothing. How ridiculous to think I actually considered someone like that a friend. Seeing that I hadn't said a word, she shoved the bouquet of baby's breath into my arms and said, "Yu Yuan, you'll wish us well, won't you?" He gave me these flowers. He said, "Baby's breath symbolizes a love that watches over you silently. Yuan, I'm sure you'll meet the right person too." I didn't catch the bouquet. I just let it fall to the ground. Then he stomped his foot down hard on it and ground it into the ground, saying, "Then why did you choose today to tell me?" "My dear friend, Yuan, that's not what I meant. How could you think that of me? Why would I miss you? My dear friend, look at you. Do you a joke? You don't really think I'd fall for a loser like that, do you? You're the only one who treats him like a treasure. Now he's lying in the hospital, and even when he recovers, he'll probably still be drooling. Just go be a good wife and mother and take good care of your big boy and little boy. But starting today, we're no longer friends." "Qingyuan, what do you mean?" I kicked the flower into the trash pile next to me and said with a smirk, "It's nothing special. It just means we're breaking up." "Got it, Qingyuan. What's so great about you? You're just better at studying than I am, and you have a mom who loves you." I could hear her cursing behind me, but I didn't care. 3 days after the college entrance exams ended, Lu Jingyan still hadn't been discharged from the hospital. The exam results came out soon, and I chose the same school as in my previous life. Lu Jingyan, however, decided to repeat the year. But things weren't as simple as he thought. First of all, the allergic reaction caused him to stop breathing for too long, which resulted in some brain damage. According to a classmate who was also repeating the year, Lu Jingyan didn't even make it into the top 100 in the grade on a recent diagnostic exam. Second, So Yao's baby has been born. This can't be kept a secret any longer. Lu Jingjin's parents hated Su Yao with a passion. They felt she had ruined their precious son. He didn't give her a single friendly look. Meanwhile, So Yao's family has been searching for her. But it turned out she had already given birth. It made her father so angry he nearly fainted on the spot. Lu Jingyan was exhausted from dealing with these trivial matters every day. I was so excited that I kept conducting experiments for another 2 weeks. I want to graduate early. I want to acquire the resources and achievements from my past life as quickly as possible. And these things actually come more naturally to me than high school knowledge. By the end of my first semester of freshman year, Lu Jingyan was already on the verge of dropping out every day. His mother complains to my mother about what to do with their son in the future. Since I'm so thoughtful, of course, I'm going to help them out. I referred his mother to the best fertility specialist in City B. She's my senior's classmate. Lu Jingyi's mother has actually always wanted to have a second child. But Lu Jingyan had damaged her health back then and could no longer conceive. Then all why? Because of the various challenges at school and all the little things going on at home. Lu Jingyan didn't even make it through the college entrance exams. This time he dropped out of school. So Yao's family has given up on her. Lu Jingyan kept pressuring his parents to take care of So Yao, until the news came that his mother was expecting her second child. He completely broke down. He was screaming and shouting like a madman at home. After his dad pinned him to the ground and beat him up, he finally behaved himself. I decided to find a job outside the company. I have no formal education, and I'm not as sharp as I was in my previous life. In the end, he decided to take a factory job. Song Shua stays at home to take care of the children. To be honest, it looks like he's already in a pretty bad way. But whenever I think of the image of the knife slicing open my abdomen in my past life, I could just skin him alive and break his bones. But since he's not causing any trouble right now, I don't have any other options. It wasn't until Li Yan and Xian came over to hang out that Xiachen invited us to a bar to unwind. At first, both Li Yan and I wanted to decline, but Li Yan thought about how I spend all my time buried in the lab. So, She eventually changed her mind and dragged me along with them. The lights flickered as young boys and girls swayed their hips. Powerful rhythmic music fills the air. The person swaying drunkenly before my eyes seemed to have turned into Song Shu Yao. Something flashed by and I couldn't quite grasp it until a pair of young girls standing nearby. The one with long hair asked the one with short hair, "You really can't remember whose it is anymore?" He suddenly came to his senses. That's right. It took several years from the time Lu Jinyan and I reunited until we got married. How could someone so cautious and careful have gotten a girl pregnant while still in high school? What's more, I knew almost everything about my past relationship with So Yao and all her romantic relationships, which is why in my previous life, I never imagined she would end up with Lu Jingyin because she's always had a steady boyfriend. A single leaf can block one's view of Mount Tai, but I can't be completely sure after all. Su Yao can't really be that crazy, can she? With that in mind, I quickly left the bar and contacted a private investigator. That very night, I received the news just as the first snow of spring fell in City B. Before Song Shu Yao started dating Lu Jingyan, she had a boyfriend who was the son of a wealthy local real estate developer. It's just that they keep their relationship very private. And most importantly, there are signs that they might be getting back together. Now, this is getting interesting. One ordinary evening, Lu Jingyi's co-workers dragged him to a bar to unwind. He had originally planned to go home to take care of his child, but he couldn't resist his co-workers' enthusiasm. He lives a very modest life, but he still wants to be a good husband and father. That night, instead of relaxing, he was quickly dressed in a work uniform and sent to work part-time at a booth, pouring drinks for the guests. But before he could even walk over, he saw his wife initiating a kiss with another man. He was just about to rush over. But then he heard his wife say in a soft, melancholy voice, "Owan, are you still holding a grudge against me? You ignored me back then, and I was pregnant. Both the baby and I needed someone to take care of us." Lu Jingyin felt as if his world had come crashing down in an instant. It took every ounce of willpower he had to stop himself from running after them and confronting that despicable couple. He took off his work clothes and returned alone to the dirty, run-down urban village. He kept wondering how he had ended up in this situation. When was that? Was it the day he found out Shu Yao was pregnant, or just a half-hearted attempt to get into a competitive program through early admission? Or should I completely cut off that one kiss from the day of the college entrance exam? Or parents in their middle years who suddenly get it into their heads to have a second child? He felt as though every unexpected and bizarre occurrence was closing in on him. Just like wave after wave, it left him completely unable to defend himself until it hit rock bottom. He bought a lot of wine. It was the most expensive wine he had ever had in the past 2 years. He used to be in such pain, yet he couldn't even drown his sorrows in alcohol. For one thing, cheap alcohol usually tastes bad and can give you a headache. Second, Song Shu Yao really hates the taste of alcohol. He really loves her. There was a time when he felt she was so full of life, like a sudden burst of light in his dreary world. But now he realizes that this isn't glory after Elit's a suffocating abyss. Step by step, he became her sacrificial victim. She enjoyed his life without a care in the world. Lu Jinyin had no idea how many bottles of wine he drunk. When Su Yao finally returned, her face flushed red, and she said with barely concealed disgust, "Just how much have you had to drink? Who could possibly live with you like this? If you can't live with me, then who can you live with?" Lu Jingyan gave a sarcastic smile. So Yao felt a little guilty and didn't dare look at him. He then strode over to the sofa, scooped up the child and said, "Lu Jingyan, you can't blame everyone else for all the mistakes you've made in life." Those words completely infuriated Lu Jingyan. He kicked her and So Yao, caught off guard, was sent flying, her head slamming into a wine bottle. Blood gushed out immediately. The dazzling red sent a rush of excitement through Lu Jingyan. Song Shu Yao looked at his rend eyes and was completely terrified. She tried to calm him down, saying, "Jingyan, don't act on impulse. Think of our child." That was the last thing he needed to hear. As soon as he mentioned it, Lu Jingyan became even more agitated. "Your child? Who's your child? Jingyan, what do you mean? Are you accusing me?" So Yao was trembling all over with fear. Lu Jingyan seized the moment to smash another wine bottle, shouting, "I'm asking you, whose kid is it? You bitch." He used a shard of glass to slash at that beautiful face, the sensation of his skin being cut. Su Yao's screams and the child's cries all assaulted his senses. A flood of images flashed through his mind. In the basement, the woman's heart-wrenching cries flashed through his mind like a scene from a movie. All he could feel was a splitting headache. His hands worked frantically, and he smashed another wine bottle. He gripped the neck of the bottle, its shards sharp and long, and Sang Su Yao was so terrified, her breathing became ragged. He looked at her flat stomach, and in that split second, he thrust it in with all his might. The gesture was so familiar, as if he had done it before. He was startled awake by the sound of his neighbor knocking on the door. Seeing Sang Su Yao lying beneath him, covered in blood, he hurriedly let go of the shard of glass he was holding. Then he jumped out of a third-floor window and ran away. Fortunately, Sua's scooter was parked downstairs. The cover of night provided the perfect cover, and he fled the city like a rat scurrying for safety. I learned the rest of the story from the detective. Song Xiao's face was completely disfigured, and she lost her ability to have children. That rich kid, Qin Yuan, doesn't even acknowledge this child. She had no choice but to cover her face and take on street cleaning jobs to support her children. And Lu Jingyan vanished without a trace. It was just a random afternoon when I suddenly received a call from an unknown number. Qingyuan, have you had your revenge? You've ruined my whole life. Are you satisfied now? I quickly realized it was Lu Jingyan. How can you say I'm getting back at you? Isn't this just helping you out? Why did you disappear? What about your partner and child? Shut up. I won't let you get away with this. That's hilarious. Why won't you just leave me alone? You're nothing but a disgusting, repulsive bug. How dare you even compare yourself to me? Haven't you looked me up? I'm a world-renowned medical and biological scientist now. Do you really think you can even get close to me? It's best when the fish takes the bait. Over the next 2 years, I frequently appeared on various talk shows, constantly trying to stay in the public eye and share some glimpses of my daily life, luxury homes, and cars with handsome chauffeurs to pick you up and drop you off. Meanwhile, Lu Jingyan was on the run across the country. Every time I make an appearance, detailed information about the time and location is posted online. Lu Jingyan has certainly thought about getting back at me, but my security is so tight that he hasn't even had a chance to get close to me. That was until I took his parents to my senior classmate's show on assisted reproduction. That day, I received a text message from an unknown number. Qingyuan, you've driven me to the brink of despair. If I go to hell, I'll take you with me. Finally, during an event, he hid in an air vent for 2 days beforehand and managed to track me down. He had barely stepped out when he nearly got caught to escape. He smashed through the nearby floor-to-ceiling window and ran off into the nearby green belt. It wouldn't be hard to catch him. But how could I just let him off that easily and send him straight to prison? That was the best choice for him. I just want to keep provoking him and stirring up his emotions. That's the only way he'll be desperate to get revenge on me. And that's the only way he'll be so enraged that he loses his mind. After playing it a few times over the next few days, I got bored with it. Soon, word got out that I was going to Country A to conduct research. For this trip, we chose to travel by ship, partly to conduct marine biology research, and partly because the route takes us through international waters. Anyone who kills people regularly knows that the high seas are the easiest place to commit murder. Lu Jingyan, you absolutely must seize this opportunity. I'm offering you this great opportunity on the open sea at night. It is pitch black and endless darkness. As soon as Lu Jingyan showed his face, he was apprehended by security. I deliberately left a research paper on how to get men pregnant in the secret room where he was locked up. Actually, no such experiment exists, and I'm not bored enough to go out of my way to research it. I just want to terrify him so much that he breaks down. As long as he struggled hard enough, he could break free from the hemp rope binding him. On this vast expanse of ocean, there were only 2 yachts. The other one was owned by a group of wealthy playboys. The night watch wasn't very strict, so Lu Jing stumbled out and jumped off the deck. He hated me so much that he climbed aboard another yacht and chose to curry favor with those men. That must have been tough. Those guys are notorious for knowing how to have a good time. Back home, they're practically every man's worst nightmare. The next time I saw Lu Jingyan, he looked alarmingly haggarded. He came limping along, his buttocks clenched tightly. He lay in bed, listlessly letting the doctor do whatever he wanted with him. As soon as he saw me, he became extremely emotional. Kill her. Kill her. You promised me as long as I let you, you'd. One of the men walked over, slapped him across the face and said, Promised you. Promised you what? Can you really trust what a man says in bed? Lu Jingyan clutched his buttock with one hand and his face with the other, staring at the man in disbelief. I must say, she's quite delicate. I can't help but feel sorry for her. Unfortunately, these tycoons are notorious for being ruthless. One of them glanced at me, then at Lu Jingyan, whose eyes were red-rimmed, and immediately pulled a belt from his waist and lashed out at him. You like screaming, don't you? Well, go ahead and scream your heart out. Scream. As soon as Lu Jingyan started running, his wound flared up, and in the end he had no choice but to crouch down clutching his buttocks and let him spank him when I'd had enough. I turned and walked away. One of the wealthy men grabbed my arm and grilled me, asking Dr. Ching, "Is it really true that men can't give birth? This guy's out of his mind. He keeps wanting a man to have his baby. That's why he's been following me all this time, and why he called me over today. He even said he'd pay a fortune for me to do the research. Why would I look into that? I think it's illegal." But I couldn't stop thinking about Lu Jingyan lying on his bed with his butt in the air, while he recovered from his injury. Malice welled up inside me, and I deliberately threatened him, saying, "Let's talk about this in private." Lu Jingyin's hysterical voice kept coming from inside the door. "I suppose that's as far as my revenge can go. I'll just have to find a way to get him sent back to his home country to serve his sentence." But I never expected to receive a message a few months later. Lu Jingyan took a knife and slit open his own stomach. He always suspected she was pregnant. On the one hand, he had been at sea for a long time, and was confined to his cabin the whole time. And on top of that, there was the mental torment inflicted on him by those men. It caused him to lose his mind. He genuinely believed he was pregnant. He couldn't accept himself like that. Finally, he slashed at his stomach repeatedly with a knife, reached inside and shouted, "Come out, all of you. Come out." After Lu Jingyan's death, my life seemed to have lost all its joy for a while. I don't even bother paying attention to Song Shuyao anymore. I just find it really boring. I still have the occasional nightmare about my past life, but I'm not afraid of them anymore. Mom was very worried about how I was doing. So, she's been looking after me ever since she retired. I don't want it to be this way either. But people aren't machines after all. After being washed over by so much hatred and malice, you just become numb. Until after yet another sleepless night, I swallowed 2 sleeping pills and fell into a deep sleep. For the first time, I saw the world as it was after I died in my previous life. My mother looked at me lying in a pool of blood, her eyes wide with anguish. She carefully stitched up my wound. By that time, Lu Jingyan had already become all-powerful. Mom didn't confront him right away. In fact, she pretended she didn't know anything. She continued to look after him, and finally, on the day he let his guard down, she lit the gas stove at home. A fire took away the person who had wronged me. Through the glow of the fire, I could see her tears. It was so heartbreaking. Right up until the very last moment, she was still crying out, my yin yang, it's killing me. How much pain you must have been in. How much pain you must have been in. My yin yang, don't be afraid. Mommy dragged him down to hell, and no one can hurt you anymore. When I woke up, my face was covered in tears. I met my mother's eyes, which were brimming with love. She gently wiped away my tears and said, "Did you have a nightmare? Yen, Mommy will make you some soothing soup." I rushed into her arms and held her tight. Being loved helps you heal as long as Mom is here. I'm willing to live my life to the fullest and love this world all over again. God gave me a second chance. I've learned so much and I'm so rich. I can make the world a better place. If there really are gods in this world, then I'm willing to do good deeds in this life, in exchange for the next life, and the one after that with my mom.